In today's episode, I'm answering all your questions. So this is the second edition of my listener Q&A episode series. And what I've done is I've gathered all your questions and comments from all the platforms that I frequent on. So that's Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, and also my email. And I've selected a couple of those questions that I wanted to provide more value on. Most of the time, I will reply back a little bit after the question is left or the comment is left. But I feel like sometimes the explanation is better understood if you hear it from the person. So in this episode, I'm answering those questions. So don't forget to stay tuned, click like, subscribe, and that notification bell. Welcome to Debt Free in IT. I'm your host, Mike. This podcast is for anyone that's looking to get into the IT industry, whether it's for a career change or you're just interested, you come to the right place. So before we get started, I would like to congratulate Christopher on passing his Security Plus exam. So Christopher emailed me a couple of days ago and letting me know that he found some value in my videos and he used some of my tips and tactics to study for his Security Plus exam. So he recently just passed that Security Plus exam, and his next steps is moving on to Python. So congratulate Christopher and keep us posted. Much continued success to you. So I love to hear your success stories. So if you have a success story that you would like me to read on air, you can email them in at debtfreeinit@gmail.com. That way I can congratulate you in an upcoming episode. So this first listener question comes from Facebook. And this question is, how can you get better at time management? So this listener, like I said, they were having trouble with time management, wanted to know how to get better at it. So for me, my time management skills I started getting a little bit better at time management around the time I was in my network technician role. So when I was in this role, I realized that I was getting multiple tasks that I needed to complete at certain deadlines or I needed to stay on top of. So what I started doing is I bought a physical planner and I would write out things I needed to do for that day. And then I would write out my projects that I had that I needed to do along with their due dates. And then using this planner, I would come in the morning. I would go by my planner, things I needed to do, things I needed to check off, things I needed to monitor. And then in some planners, you can set it out by using blocks of time. So you could block off, okay, from I get there at 7:30. From 7:30 to 8:30, I'm doing all my routine checks. I'm getting all my routine checks out the way. And then you can have, okay, I got this project. So from after 8:30, around about 9:30 to lunchtime, I'm gonna work on my project. And depending on how far I'm getting that project, I may continue it after lunch. So always, but still remember, there's still gonna be things that you don't plan for that's gonna come up. But using that planner helped me to get better with my time management. And then also when I started studying for other certifications, so I would put it in that planner that, okay, today I want to study for 2 hours today, or I want to study for an hour today. And then it just became joyful for me to look at my checklist at the end of the day and see that I accomplished everything I said I wanted to accomplish. So the night before, like I said, you put out your to-do list, and then the next day, you hit the ground running. You start checking off your to-do list. End of the day or the end of the night when you're doing your next day, you look at what all you accomplished. Sometimes you may not accomplish everything, but it did lead to me being more productive and being more better at managing my time. And then you can advance from a physical planner to where now sometimes I go back and forth from a physical planner, or I'll use a app such as Notion. So if you're familiar with Notion, you can create templates. So you can create a template that's similar to a planner where you can put your 5-year goals, your 3-year goals, 10-year goals. And also you can have a calendar view in Notion. So I have a calendar view. And the neat thing with that calendar view is anything I put on that calendar automatically shows up on my iPhone calendar. So it's synced together. So I put it on my calendar, any kind of appointments I have, any kind of meetings I got coming up. And then I can just see it in one place. So when I come in, the first thing I do, I look at my calendar in Notion, see what I got coming up. And then also in Notion, you can have another page that's like a to-do list. So I would have my to-do list Monday through Friday, and I would remove it everything every week and start over fresh on Monday with what all I need to accomplish the next day at my job or whatever I got going on. So in that to-do list, I have job things I need to do, and then even after job, like I have things like I want to work out every day. I work out every day. I have that on my to-do list. Then also I have, okay, I'm currently studying for the CCNP. So I have that in there that, okay, I want to study for at least 1 hour. Sometimes I try to shoot for two because it's coming up real close, real soon. So I try to shoot for two sometimes. But just getting in the habit of using planners is what helped me tremendously on time management. So that first question, my answer is start using a planner. So the second question from a listener is saying that they're currently studying for the CCNA and they want to know, is the CCNA the 200 301 OCG book by Wendell Odom the best book to get? So, in my opinion, the OCG book, which is the one that we mentioned, that's always one of the top books to get. And if for some reason you find that that OCG book is just, too hard to read because, sometimes it has so much it gets over complicated where it may not be easy to read. What I did find that is there's a author named, I know I'm gonna mess up his last name, so his name is Todd Lamiel. I call it Lamiel. It may be pronounced as something else, but it's spelled Lammle. And pretty much when I was studying for my CCNA, the last time I had to take that exam, I used his book for the CCNA. So I think so far I've had experience with the OCG books, which I like those, and also the Todd Lamiel books. So just on Amazon, you can look at a sample of each and kind of see what you might like best. But I think both books would be a good choice, but you can never go wrong with the OCG book. So the next listener question is that they always hear that cybersecurity is mostly paperwork and boring. And they want to know, would pen testing not be the usual paperwork or making policies? Something like a cyber analyst. So, depending on paperwork and boring, this usually is going to depend on your role within the team. So, sometimes, like I said, in most information systems companies, most of the time that department, like you have your cybersecurity department, but then that department may be broken up into network security and internet security. So usually on the internet security side, there is someone there that may be the one that's doing policies and things of that nature. So they may not be as interactive as someone on the network security side that's actually configuring firewalls and ASAs, ESAs, things of that nature. So they may not be as hands-on as that person, but also that person doing the policies, a lot of times that policies is not going to be the only thing they're doing. So in most places, especially if you have a small team, you're going to have multiple responsibilities. So policies may just be one aspect of of your responsibilities for that role. So you may have some days where you're doing more things with policies than other days, but then you may also have other security applications that you are over, that you're the lead on. So sometimes it could be something as simple as phone security. So there may be an app where you may be the lead on doing phone security. Then it may be, instead of doing policies, you may also be the one that's handling your email security. So most of the time, it's not all just boring and paperwork. You're going to have that with any job, even in networking. You still had to keep up with documentation. So a lot of times being good at documentation, that's a skill all in itself, because if you're good at documentation, so that means that when you change something, you document how you changed it. When you implement something, you pretty much got steps on troubleshooting what you implemented. And then that way, if somebody comes behind you, let's say somebody else is on call that night and something goes on with your application. So being good at documentation, you may have a folder where your team members can go out and look at all the troubleshooting steps for your application. So that documentation, like I said, it's often the last thing we want to do in IT, because most time we want to just go ahead and get it done. Then we always say, "Oh, I'm gonna come back and update this later." But documentation should be one of the first things on your list. So after you make a change, go and change whatever documentation you have, or once you figure out a resolution for an issue for an application you have, go update that documentation. So, like I said, in cybersecurity, it's pretty much, like I said, the same thing as with any other position, not just cybersecurity. So, you're going to have some days where it may be born more paperwork based. If you happen to be one doing policies or anything, you're going to have days where it's boring. Then you're going to have days where you're on the go so much, you might not even see your desk that day. So it just depends. And then, so also the same thing goes for like pen testing. I'm pretty sure with pen testing, you're not pen testing every day. Some days you're going to have to prepare, you're going to have to plan, you're going to be doing research. So with any position in IT, you're going to have those boring days, then you're going to have those very active days. But a lot of times you're gonna tend to appreciate the boring days because you're gonna may have more active days than those boring days, if you know what I mean. So this next question comes from the same listener, and they wanted to know what exactly is DevNet. So DevNet is a Cisco certification. I think it's probably been released to the public now, maybe about 3-4 years now. They have an associate level and also a professional level with DevNet, and I think it may be an expert level too. But what DevNet does, it kind of brings together networking along with the development aspects. So pretty much, if you're a developer already and you know some Python code, you know some GitHub, things of that nature, and you want to get more into a networking role or a network automation role, then this DevNet certification will probably be a perfect match for that. If you're finding value in this episode and you're listening via YouTube or your favorite podcasting app, please leave me a review or a comment. And if you have a friend who might need to hear this, please share this episode with them. So this next listener question is that this person is a beginner, wanting to know if the A plus or the Security Plus is a good start for them. So pretty much both of these certs overall are good certs. The A plus usually is geared towards more help desk roles, desktop roles, because A plus pretty much goes deep detail of pretty much PC hardware. So a lot of those skills would be used for a desktop or maybe a help desk role. And then security, is one of the most known security certs out there. A lot of government jobs on the security side, they really require you to have this Security Plus. So between the two, both of these certs are good for beginners, but you really want to decide which route you're trying to go. So you could possibly do both, because you could get that A plus first, and that A plus may be what helps you land your first role. And then after you get that, then you decide on where you want to specialize in, whether you want to go the networking route and go towards a Network Plus, a CCST networking, or a CCNA, or you want to go ahead and go down that security route and go with that Security Plus. So that A plus, like I said, it's a good cert to start out with and could lead to you getting other certs and specializing in what you want to end up being in, or the field you want to end up being in. And also that Security Plus provides that same value. Overall, I think probably this Security Plus is most requested now on the security side of things, especially for entry level roles. So it's just gonna all boil down to where you see yourself in the future, or what route you want to plan on going. If you want to go more of a desktop side, maybe leading into some server jobs or some server admin roles, then probably that A plus is going to be a good start for you. But then also, if you want to go that's more of a security route, then that Security Plus, like I said, that Security Plus, it ain't gonna hurt. So getting certs, it ain't gonna hurt, but you want to go in, get one of those certs, hopefully get in, get some experience with it, and then start getting more advanced certs. And then that way, you pretty much upping your skills with every certification. Then also you upping your skills by being able to get in, get experience, get a higher certification. Then hopefully that leads to another role where you're seeing more, you're being exposed to more things, more technologies, and hopefully that helps you to grow your career to where you end up wanting to be. So this next question comes from a listener in Argentina. So they're currently finishing up an electrical engineering degree, and they're currently working as a network automation engineer. And then their role is mainly dealing with coding, and Python. So they wanted to know if the CCNA would be worth it for them. So my take on this, pretty much, you're already in a networking role, so you're learning on the job. So whatever networking aspects you don't know, a lot of times your teammates may be able to help you or provide guidance with it. And then also, if you're having trouble with any networking aspects and there's no one that you're able to learn from on your job that may be already good with networking, then, and also if time permits, then I would go ahead and try to get that CCNA just to be up on the networking aspect and be familiar with that. Because it seems like since you're already in a network automation engineer role, that you probably already are pretty decent with Python and some of the coding aspects, maybe GitHub, things of that nature. So most of the development aspects of the networking. So it seems like you maybe already have a good grasp with that. So that CCNA, like I said, it wouldn't hurt if you have the time, but you are already in a networking role. And then one certification that I think will be good for what you're doing is going to be the DevNet, because pretty much that DevNet certification, it pretty much ties exactly the role that you're doing together. So it pretty much links that networking aspect along with that development aspect, where it goes over a lot of Python, GitHub, API calls, things that you're most likely already doing on your job. So it just solidifies that, and it may help your skill set to grow by getting that certification. So I would say, if it was me in your shoes, like I said, do your own research first. But if it was just me in your shoes, I would probably aim for that DevNet first. But then if I saw that there was a lot of networking aspects or technologies I didn't grasp that I was having to do at my job, or if my employer requested that I get that CCNA, I would go ahead and make time to try to get that CCNA. Overall, I don't think either way is going to hurt you, since you are already in that networking role. So you're getting the experience to where if you decide to move on to a better position, you already have some experience in it. So like I said, do your own research first, but that's just my 2 cents worth. And I hope that, you get some sort of value out of any of my episodes that you watch. So the next and the last question comes from a listener, and they asked that, could I do more content towards getting debt free, or maybe what type of elections or financial moves to make in your different IT positions? So if you notice that the name of the channel is Debt Free in IT with Mike, so the Debt Free in IT with Mike, I'm interested in becoming debt free, IT, as well as health. I started out with IT because that's what I know a lot of. But my day to day activities evolve around health and also getting good with money, becoming debt free. So I'm still on that journey, but my plan is to try to venture out and start having more aspects to on becoming debt free, more aspects to being healthy overall. Which as of now, like I said, I'm still a rookie in this game, so I'm not sure how that may look in the future. I'm not sure if it may be all on this same channel. I'm not sure if it'll be a different channel that I start to deal with that. Because, like I said, my main interest, like I said, always been those three categories. I just decided to start with the IT first because that's what I do every day. That's what I've been doing for the past 13 years now. Probably the past 13 years of my life has been involved around technology. So there's things I'm real fond of, things I love doing, things I've always been involved in. But like I said, in the future, I plan on trying to venture out to maybe still providing IT and still doing, maybe going out to a little bit of health, and also some things that I'm doing to try to become debt free, and some things I'm doing to try to become good with money. So hopefully you can stay tuned for that. And that should be coming down the pipeline in the future. But as always, I appreciate everyone for listening. Don't forget, if you have any questions or comments, to email me at debtfreeinit@gmail.com. Also, if you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe. If you're listening via Apple Podcasts, please leave me a review or a comment. It does help out the channel. If you're on IG, TikTok, or Facebook, please do a search, Debt Free in IT with Mike. Find me on those platforms, and follow me. Other than that, I'll see you next week. Peace.